sponsored by Riverside.
Hello and welcome in to The Sad Fan, where we talk about the good, the bad, and everything that made you sad from the previous week. And we have a busy show for you this week. I am your host, Brandon Fry, as always, joined by my co-host, Wesley Watkins, and our amazing producer, Taylor Stone.
Hello.
So as we get into this week, you can hear my voice is a little bit off. I know I put in the captions of last week's episode. We all get sick, okay? Give us a break. So leading you a little bit, Taylor, what made you sad this last week?
Yeah, your girl got.
The COVID monster.
Is that your first
Yup.
time?
It is my first time.
Oh,
I made it this
congratulations. Welcome to the
far.
club.
I'm grateful because I definitely feel like I got a less severe variant. I tested positive over a week ago at this point, so I'm fine now, but it was a rough week.
I tested positive between my first and second vaccine shots. So really poor timing, but
Did you have to
Yeah.
wait to get your second shot then? Because when
I
we went
did.
to get our
I had to delay
boosters,
it.
they were like, you can't get it if you've gotten COVID within like X amount of time.
Yeah, I had to push it out like another 2 weeks. So that was frustrating. But
And he got it when we thought everyone was still going to die. I sent him a gift basket because I was like,
No.
man,
rest in peace.
I want him to
homie.
remember that I loved him.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for the bath bombs, bro.
Yeah, right. So that was awful. Obviously, I got the flu, not COVID, but it's definitely impacted my everyday life last week, and my voice leading into this week. But we're getting over it. Taylor sounds amazing. I still sound like I'm
I was gonna
being
say,
choked by.
I feel like you don't have to make your disease seem lesser because you didn't get COVID. If anything, like I got sick in the beginning of the school year. It was not COVID. I did get tested and did not test positive for COVID, and that was way worse than this past week.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the flu definitely put me in bed for a full day, like an entire day. And I'm not talking like, oh, I'm sick in bed watching TV. I'm talking like I was passed out, dying in my bed for like a full 24 hours before I could get up. Like the TV was off, the shades were drawn. It was the end of days.
Yeah, I don't feel like mine was nearly as bad. I think the worst of it was I had a sore throat and I was really bored a lot of the time because I couldn't do anything.
It gets us all eventually, I guess. I guess it's inescapable in today's society. Um, But we still have our festivals. We still had a big 4th of July kickoff. And that leads me to what made me sad. It made me sad that somebody tried to protest in the middle of nations and hot dog eating contest. And Joey Chestnut, our champion, now 13-time champion. So I guess it also makes me happy. Bodied a guy dressed like Darth Vader, totally like choked him out from around his neck. I don't know where Joey Chestnut trains, but get him in that octagon immediately because he threw him down with effortless style, and then immediately continued to eat hot dogs and then won. Because it's not like this happened at the end of him winning and he's the champion again. Right in the middle of him shoving multiple hot dogs down his gullet as his throat is swollen with glory, he chokes the guy out, throws him to the ground. Security jumps on him, and Joey Chestnut continues to just throw down dogs. So it made me sad, but it also made me happy to see that we do still have a great American champion in Joey Chestnut eating hot dogs on the 4th of July.
There you go. Yeah.
Do you
Throw
know-
back those 60+ hot dogs.
Do you know what the guy was
75 this year, I think.
protesting?
Jesus.
Well, I don't know, Taylor. I've tried to watch that video probably 15, 20 times. I've tried to pause it and zoom into the sign. I don't know. I don't know what he's protesting. I think now he's going to protest getting abused by Joey Chestnut.
He's going to sue him.
So I'm looking at this article and it says the 37-year-old gobbled down 63 hot dogs, which sounds absurd to us. But then it goes on to say, in 10 minutes, a far cry from the record 76 he
76.
devoured last year.
Jesus.
So it was last year I was thinking of.
And
Oh my
he beat the
God.
second place guy by like over 20 hot dogs, I think.
To be fair, he got
Still.
interrupted.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
he still beat him by 20.
Yeah.
Like, where do you
He
Okay,
probably he's
it was a brief interruption by an animal rights protester. So I'm guessing they're
gotcha.
eating animals. That was probably what he was protesting.
I wonder if it's the treatment of the animals they're eating. Go ahead, Wes.
Well, that reminds me of during the NBA playoffs when all those animal rights protesters were interrupting the playoff games, and like one of them, like
Timberwolves.
she chained herself to the basket.
And one super glued herself to the
Yes,
court.
What?
yeah,
It's
these people are
insane.
crazy.
That just sounds really dangerous and unsafe and painful.
Yeah,
Yo, I accidentally super glued my eye shut for a Halloween costume I was building, and that was insane. So apparently she's never suffered through having to do like paint thinner on a
No,
washcloth
no,
to
no,
get the
no,
super
no,
glue
no,
out of your eyes.
no.
Um,
You don't understand. Okay,
well, those ladies
these
are a
these
different breed of crazy.
these are not real. There's a lot of
yeah.
glue all up on these hands as a result of these nails. It's the same thing as like super glue pretty much. And when you go to put the tips on, you get glue all over your freaking hands and you're like gluing your fingers together. Just pulling that apart alone is enough to tell me that this was a horrible, horrible plan that did not end well.
No.
Taylor's like, girl, we're out here in these streets. You know how this feels. What are you doing?
No. I have
I
to know
think
how
it's
this ended.
Yeah, I think it paused the game. I
Yeah,
think it paused the game for like 15 minutes
yeah,
because
because
they
they had
had
to
to
like
like get her off the court.
yeah, and then the lady who chained herself to the basket, they had to get like the wire or like the cable cutters, and they had to like cut her chain from around the basket to get her out.
Like the jaws of
Yeah,
life
but
to
like
end your
when they were
protest.
escorting her out, everyone was like cheering like their team just won.
The thing
Dude, did you see how they cheered when the girl went to storm the court and the security guard like teed her up like like he had her lined up and she went to storm the court and he nailed
Oh
her
God.
before she could get there?
the thing that baffles me is like in these people's minds, I think that they're going from the perspective of any publicity is good publicity. So at least I'm bringing awareness to whatever it is. But in my mind, you are bringing awareness to something that you care about, but you're making everybody think that you are a lunatic in doing so. And I don't think that helps your cause in any way.
Well, they're helping
Like
mental
Jay and
health
Silent Bob.
awareness.
No, like Jay and Silent Bob. Remember Jay and Silent Bob
Yeah.
with the it's we're doing it for the sheep, but they're actually like jewel robbers or bank robbers. And they get him to say, I'm not gonna say it, but like Sean William Scott, I am the master of the and
Yeah,
it's the
yeah.
animal rights. So
Um,
I'm with that.
yeah.
I'm with it.
I
It doesn't
just
make a ton of sense, but it is what it is. I don't know if I hope we can get past it someday, but I mean I'm not gonna ever become a vegetarian. I'll eat less meat, but I'm sorry guys. Like I like hot dogs. I'm not gonna eat a billion of them because I read that one hot dog takes 2 years off your life. But like every once in a while, I might give up 2 years for a delicious treat.
If anything, it makes me want to eat more. Eat more meat.
You're like, let me help out. Let me
Yeah.
remedy this situation by
Exactly.
eating more. So, Wes, what made you sad? What
Okay.
had you
Oh
in the
gosh.
dumps?
Let's see. USC and UCLA going to the Big Ten. First of all, what the hell? Thanks a lot, Fox, for ruining football. USC, UCLA don't belong in the Big Ten. Um, and at this point, it's like college football. Like it's a money grab. I mean, the Pac-12
Yeah,
is pretty much toast. Like whether it gets absorbed into the Big 12 or like Oregon and Washington go to the Big 10, it doesn't matter. They're trying to like hold put right now, but it's not going to happen like beyond a couple more years. And like
yeah.
The Rose Bowl's gone. I mean, it's always been like Pac-12, Big 10, like tradition for like over 100 years, and like
The granddaddy of them
yeah,
all.
not
so
anymore. And so yeah, go ahead.
for my novice brain, uh, Big Ten implies there are 10 teams. Does that mean two other teams get taken out, or are there more
No.
teams
So
than that?
yeah, so the way that NCAA is comprised is you have a bunch of conferences, and typically in the past they were all like regional based. And so like Big Ten, it was like 10 Midwestern teams that like had good
Hmm.
academics and they like had like storied like athletic programs. And then like several years ago, like once the television rights were taken away from the NCAA and it was like put in charge of like the colleges and the conferences, that's like when everything started to become a money grab. And so it's like you had conferences like poaching teams from other conferences and just to get like that
Well,
team's market, and it just
I
became
don't know that that's when it became a money grab. I think it's when television contracts came
yeah.
into play when
Well,
we
yeah.
started to seeing
Yeah, so when the media
the money
rights
that was in these television.
Yeah, so when the
Yeah.
media rights were taken away from the NCAA and it went to the conferences, so they were free to pursue their own television rights, and it just blew up into like billions and billions of dollars now. And
Is that
so,
why you said you hate Fox right now?
yeah, well, because it was Fox was the one who initiated actually taking USC and UCLA away from the Pac-12
Gotcha.
because they realized the LA market is massive. Um,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, it's like I could go on forever, but I mean,
Is it like a money thing because of the teams that they will then be playing in the other division?
it's like the market. So it's like the LA market. So because the Big Ten is like historic, even though now there's like 16 teams in the Big Ten, it's
You
stupid.
have to think about how many viewers are in an area,
Yeah,
Taylor. Like how many people, how many eyeballs can we get on a screen?
yeah. And so so by
Right. Well, that's
acquiring, so before they were looking at, I think it was like maybe like $65 million per year per school, or so like each school would get
Hmm.
like $65 million a year, like as part of the contract, like the TV
And
contract.
your tuition still goes up every year.
Yeah. But now that they added the LA market, they're projecting it to go up to like 80 million per school per year. And so it's like because they added the LA market, all the other schools in the conference, even the ones that like are like Rutgers and stuff like that aren't as like popular, like get a big boost in their annual revenue.
that's weird
Taylor,
to
what were you going
me.
to ask?
Well, no, that's just I'm trying to I'm trying to figure this out because okay, so like the NFL is its own one entity. All the
Yeah.
teams play for that. They have divisions within that which kind of dictate who's playing what teams, but it's just kind of like an organizational situation where it's like everybody kind of has to play. So we have to figure out who's going to play who, and that's kind of where that stems from. And that's kind of what I thought college football was like, where you have these divisions, you figure out people play in their divisions, like the NHL has divisions, and you
So,
play only your teams in your divisions until you move outside of that as like championship games come and stuff.
Yeah.
so what I will say to that, Taylor, is those are major leagues, right? And West still had this very beautiful, cute picture of college football, of the pageantry and the rivalries mattering.
That's why I fell in
And
love
the
with
truth
college
is,
football.
the truth is, all these commissioners of all these schools, and this goes out to all you students that are getting overcharged. The only way to stop getting overcharged is to attack the university by either protesting, going on strike, or just not attending these universities. Because trust me, they have endowments, they have trust, they don't need your money. They're charging you more and more every year for no reason. It's all capitalism. Not that I hate capitalism, but I'm letting you know the only way to fight it is stop going or protest it. Because obviously, like Wes just said, they're about to make 80 millions just off 80 millions, Jesus, 80 million off just one sport per team.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's been about the money. It was a free labor system for a free minor league system, pardon me, for the NFL for a long
Oh yeah.
time, right? They don't have to pay these college players. And now they're kind of like Scrooge McDuck just throwing around gold coins. They're just making it rain like it's Magic City in the NCAA. Money is flying everywhere into these players' pockets. And someone said something funny, I think, in our meeting, and that I think it was Taylor saying, "Why don't they just have a draft and every year, whatever teams get pulled out of a hat, they go to those conferences, and that's how the conferences line up, right?" And if there wasn't so much money tied up, I would love that idea. I'd be like, "Well,
So
looks like I'm in Alabama's conferences this year, so I'm not winning." But essentially, what we've gotten out of college football now is super conferences and free agency, right, Wes?
Yeah, I mean, basically, like right now, it's between. So previously, there was like five big conferences, like they were the Power Five,
Mm-hmm.
and like they pretty much controlled everything. But now it's like Big Ten is sucking up all these teams, and last year the SEC, the Southeastern Conference, they sucked up Texas and Oklahoma from the Big 12, and so it's just becoming these two massive conferences. The SEC has 16 teams. The Big Ten has like 16 teams right now, and and the Big Ten might expand even further. Like if they add Notre Dame, and then they'll probably end up
Yeah.
adding Oregon, Washington, and like probably Stanford or another school, and they'll probably like get up to 20
Do the
teams.
teams ever play outside of their division then,
Yeah,
or is
yeah.
this
So
like no, only play
yeah,
for?
so the way it happens is there's like 12 conference game or there's like 12 games a year in like the college football season for like regular season. And usually there's like 8 or 9 conference games, and then the other 3 or 4 it's like sometimes they would play like a rival that was in a different conference. So like Florida and Florida State would play each other even though they're in different conferences.
USC,
But
Notre
that's just
Dame.
like a
Yeah. And then
but that's just like a fun kind of
yeah,
like
it still counts like on the
toss away game.
it's not a toss away game because it still like counts like for like rankings and stuff like that. But it's a lot of the games.
Yeah, but it doesn't count towards like you winning the championship of your
No,
division or anything,
no,
does it? Right.
but it
See,
counts
that's the thing that's
towards.
interesting to me.
But like for playoffs and stuff
I
like
didn't
that, they
realize
look
that.
at your all of your games instead of just your
But,
conference.
but let's be real, Wes.
A lot of the non-conference games
The
are
conference
also
winners don't really matter in the eyes of the playoff committee
yeah,
anymore. Like the playoff committee doesn't give a fuck about anything. I didn't mean to curse. Sorry, but Alabama is definitely going to get in with 3 losses one year, and everybody's going to lose their
yeah,
mind. Like every, including me, I'm going to lose my mind because I'm going to be like, stop inviting the Empire into the college football play. I'm tired of this, right? And
yeah.
then we're all going to piss and moan when they win it, inevitably with 3 losses. And you know what the conversation is going to be the next day because we're dumb sports radio. Well, should they have even been there with 3 losses? Like, and then somebody's gonna come back with apparently they won the whole thing. Like, and I'm just gonna be like, shut the hell up.
Yeah,
Like, so
it's
so so it's never been about your conference. It's been
no,
about who they like more.
yeah, and
So this is really just money.
yeah, and so back to also what she was asking. So like non-conference games, lots of times it'll be like Alabama versus like Middle Tennessee State, some like garbage team that's barely better than a high school team, and they just like score.
Yeah.
It's like 75-0 at the end, and it's just basically a warm-up game for them. Like
Yeah, we call it a cupcake
let's
match.
put in the backups. Let's give our backups some reps. It's stupid.
Go ahead, Taylor.
That's fascinating to me. That's so fascinating to me. It's just also funny because if you have, one conference that's sucking up all the teams, eventually it's just one
Exactly.
entity
Eventually,
anyway, and then you have to split it up regardless
yeah, eventually it's
once
going
it
to be
happens. I'm
like
also
the
just
NFL,
surprised.
like a giant structure. There's going to
Yeah.
be like 2 massive conferences with like 20 of the best teams in it. And it's like everyone else is
Well, I'm
just
also
fighting
just
for like relevancy.
Yeah, they're gonna ruin.
I'm
They're
all
gonna ruin the play of the non-power 5 conferences that could make it. Like the Cincinnati's are gonna die,
Yeah.
right? The Hawaii's are gone. The Utah's in the pack now, but those teams, Boise State, pardon me, those teams are gone now, right? If they go to 2 super
Yeah.
conferences.
Never going to hear from him again.
I'm
Cool.
also just surprised there's no like overall encompassing like college championship, much like there is a Super
Well, there
Bowl
is.
There
Yeah,
championship
is,
so there's a
where
playoff. And so right
but
now,
the
okay.
playoff is run by a playoff committee. It's not necessarily like there's no. I don't want to say there's not real merit, but there's not real merit. It's 12 people in a room. I almost said 12 guys, but I think there's one lady. 12 guys in a room. And so there's 12 people in a room that just say, "You know what? I think these 4 teams were
yeah,
the best
they
teams.
picked
Let's
the
put them
4
in."
best teams.
Okay, see, okay, that's my point though. It's not like the normal NFL where you have your divisions, they play games, the best people in that division move on to like the conference championships and then so on until you get to the finals and then you're like, "Oh, this is the best football team
Yeah.
that we have in the
Yeah, I
country."
mean,
That's
typically
you don't really get that same situation with
yeah,
college. And I think
typically
that's
that's
so
like kind of how
interesting.
it
How do
works
you
out. Like most of the time it's like the 4 teams that are invited are like conference champions, like the Pac-12 champion,
We
the Big
hope.
10 champion, SEC champion, ACC champion, or Big 12 champion. But like
I mean,
sometimes
if the
but there's no
committee had it their way, it'd be
requirement.
SEC champion, SEC
number
runner
2,
up, SEC third plate.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, lots of times you'll get like a runner up from one of the conferences instead of a different conference champion because they deemed that the runner up from that conference is still better. Just from The eyeball test.
Eyeball
Yeah,
test.
But that's
it's a
yeah,
joke.
again, like you're kind of just choosing this conference is generally the best
Yeah,
conference. So let's pick them.
that's pretty much what
That's
it
not
is.
like a
That's pretty much what
statistical
happens.
way to be like, oh, you've won these games, you've won these conference, titles. That's how you won the championship,
Yeah,
Which is what it should be, and that's what a lot of fans have clamored for. They've said, like, just put in the division, the conference champions into the playoffs. Stop making. Why do we need a committee? If we just did it this way, there wouldn't be a committee. And
yeah.
in all honesty, we shouldn't need a committee. It's the dumbest thing I've
No,
ever heard. It's
But
as dumb as the
again,
BCS.
how many of these, conferences are there? I feel like there's got to be a lot more than there
So there's
are
a
in the
Power Five.
NFL.
There's a Power Five, and then there's a bunch of smaller conferences
yeah,
out there that sometimes will put out a really good team that has a shot. And what we proposed instead of a 14 playoff was a 16. But again, coming back to money, ESPN's bid won for the college football playoff. ESPN wanted the college football playoff for monetary reasons, right? So right now we're locked into a contract for the college football playoff that only allows 4 teams. But a lot of the fans and a lot of the commentators and people that know the sport, they were already clamoring for a 16 playoff, right? 5 conference champions, 1 wild card.
yeah,
But that's not what we
yeah.
got.
Well, yeah, and then there's obviously other ones like 12-team playoff. I think was the one that had the most traction. But yeah, it's
And I love how they argued on behalf of the 14 playoff to not just completely remove the veil of this is all about money, to completely not get rid of that. They go, well, the students are in school, and now we have UCLA flying to Ohio State or to
every fucking
Rutgers,
year
which is in the Big Ten, by the way.
in
Rutgers
New
is in the
York.
Big Ten. So. So they're going to be flying from UCLA to New York. So your argument is bullshit,
Yeah,
and we can see through it. But but yeah, that's kind of what they did, Taylor, is they said, well, these students have schedules and they have classes, and we care so much about that. Don't look at all the money behind the curtain that they bring in. Don't look here. And it's all been ridiculously about money. I am hoping that some good comes out of this. Super conferences, and that is maybe we'll get a legit playoff that doesn't have a bunch of people that we're paying to do nothing but scratch their nuts and be like, well, I really like Alabama this year. Yeah, Phil, when do you not like Alabama, idiot? Let's look at other
yeah.
teams.
All I'm gonna say is I hope Oregon and Washington end up in the Big Ten. But I mean that's just me. I'm an
Yeah,
Oregon fan.
let's get to the real root of
Yeah.
this issue with you, Wes. It's not the pageantry, it's not the rivals, it's I'm an Oregon fan and I feel left out.
Oh, absolutely. That's definitely a huge part of it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to lie. As soon as that happened, I was like, well, what the fuck is going to happen to Oregon now? Like, are they going to join the Big 12
Yeah.
or are they going to get an invite to like the Big 10? And honestly, at this point, it seems like Oregon and Washington are like tied at the hip right now. And it's like Washington
Yeah.
State and Oregon State, our little brothers, are going to get kicked to the side, which I don't really care because screw them. But but yeah, so Oregon and Washington, I think, are a package deal now, which is funny because they've hated each other for years, for decades,
So
and
does
now,
rival week still exist
yeah,
now?
I think so.
Rivalry week, you think it's still going to exist?
Yeah,
Like, because I'm thinking like now they're going to have to schedule like Oregon, and I apologize, I don't want to get you off your tangent because I know you love your Ducks, but when you said Oregon State,
we don't
Washington
care.
State,
We
it reminded
we
me
kick the
of,
crap out of Oregon State every year. Oregon Washington is
but
always our rivalry week. That's our real rivalry week.
okay, pardon me. Okay, fine. Do you think that'll
I
be the
know a
new one
lot
then?
of
It'll be
I know a
Oregon,
lot of Beaver
Washington.
fans are going to get really butthurt listening to this, but hey, the truth is the truth, okay? And it's like, yeah, it was competitive before, but that was before Uncle Phil started putting millions and millions of dollars into Oregon, and again, goes back to the
Taylor, do
money.
you remember who Uncle Phil is?
Phil Knight, this Nike CEO, an Oregon
Oh
alumni,
yeah, the Nike
yeah,
guy.
an Oregon
The
alumni, and so he's been like dumping billions of dollars into the University of Oregon. So
I just remember a couple weeks ago when we were talking
Just
about,
in their uniforms
yeah,
alone.
yeah,
he's actually put
I just remember a couple weeks ago when we were talking about this. Taylor gave us a look like, when did Will Smith's uncle become an owner of a college football team?
right.
Not what
Yeah,
I
and
was
so he's
thinking.
actually done a little more than just like athletics. Like he put like 400 million or whatever into like their science program or something like that.
Yo, their track team is like the best and most outfitted track team in the
Oh
world,
yeah.
right? Like even more than most of our Olympic teams. Oregon's track team is it gets a ton of recruits because Phil Knight puts so much money into
You're
track and
pretty
field.
much guaranteed to have like a Nike sponsorship if you're like a good athlete there.
Yeah.
So,
Well, speaking of sponsorships, not to pull away from this riveting subject, but I'm sure we're going to be talking about this all
oh
season,
yeah.
right? Because college football is right around the corner. Like I said last time, it's coming, folks. It's coming quick. It's coming fast and furious, and they do not want to be out of the news. But neither does one of my favorite TV show, The Boys. And you might be asking, how does this tie into everything? Well, they offered Kevin Durant a spot on the Seven. They invited him via Twitter to come join the Seven. Now, I really want to get into Kevin Durant, but what do we think about the boys and the Vaught transcending the TV show into a world where it's a real thing? Go ahead,
Take it away,
Taylor.
Okay,
Taylor.
they've been doing this for a while. I am a huge fan of the boys. I have been for a couple years now. I'm reading the comics even. I love the acting is incredible. The writing is phenomenal. It's a little vulgar, but I still love it. But they've been doing this for a few years now. On YouTube, they have a YouTube channel for Vaught where they
Really?
do this like news. Yeah, it's a news show that they will do on YouTube. It's like 7-10 minute video clips, but for the past couple of years they've been doing these short news clips about like stories happening in the Vought universe sort of to keep you like on the leash for the next season.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
But it's been really really cool because they act like they're a real news station and like it's a real news story and like that's a real world, in and of itself that they're bringing into
Yeah.
our world.
I loved it because I showed it to Wes. I don't think I put it in our work chat, but they released this statement on behalf of Homelander. Vought released a statement on behalf of Homelander stating that the actions of Starlight were not condoned by Vought and were taken at her own volition. And it's like a full page statement they released on Twitter, like it's a real thing.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, I love
amazing.
that. I love that when shows like try to like they use social media to try and bring like a realism aspect to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and inviting Kevin Durant to join the Seven is just that, right? It's mixing their dimension with our
Yeah.
dimension and saying, "Hey, let's make a super dimension."
I think that that's what's so great and so smart about the show in the first place, though, is you have the superhero aspect, that like Marvel DC quality that so many people love and want more of as far as their entertainment goes. But the whole point of the boys is here's this Justice League, Avengers type of superhero group. If they were in the real world, they'd be causing real casualties
Yeah.
and real damage, real like things in the real
They'd be real
world.
assholes.
So
Yeah.
what would happen? Right. So what would happen if that was actually it'd be like a real company where they have to, save their asses and like protect their assets and cover their,
Yeah.
tracks and stuff like that. That would really happen if superheroes and those types of entities were
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
That would be the
I don't
case.
want to.
Well,
So they actually then made it happen in the real world where they're like they would have a social media
Yeah,
platform. The Homelander would be out in the world telling you, all of these things on Twitter. It makes so much sense. It's so
well, they
smart.
even
go ahead,
I was
Wes.
gonna say like I mean they have the young like Hispanic like congresswoman or whatever, and then she just turns out to be like a head popper, like the
AOC.
AOC, and I was like, I love that.
They've been doing it with everybody, and I know neither one of you have finished the series yet, but let's just say they take the sheets all the way off the bed in the very final episode. So I can't wait for you guys to see it because they really leaned into a landmark event in the United States that occurred, and and they don't want you to think, hey, we're not talking about this because they legitimately copy characters that were at this event and they're in full uniform. And I was pointing out to my wife. I was like, look, there it is. Look, that's that person from that event. So I'm not gonna ruin it for you guys, but in
I'm
the finale, they were like, you know what? Screw it. This is who we're talking about. All you Trumpian people.
I'm one episode away. I have just the season finale
Don't
left.
spoil
I'm very
anything.
excited. But they've been doing this. I'm not going to. I'm just saying that they've been doing this throughout this whole season in
Yeah.
particular. I've noticed a number of things where I'm watching the show and I'll like, smack my boyfriend and I'll be like, "Oh my god, this is supposed to be that thing that happened like in
Yeah,
pop
right.
culture where, they do stupid things." They made fun of the Kendall Jenner like Pepsi commercial,
Yeah.
and they made fun of like A Train doing a
Oh
Netflix,
yeah. Just
documentary
Africa.
type of show, and it's like stuff that had like happened in the real world that you're like, this
Right.
was actually a thing, but they're making fun of it,
Taylor,
and I love
before we
that.
move off this, did you catch the taco salad thing that happened? These are the best
Taco
taco salads
salad.
in the whole city are served at Vaught
Oh.
Tower.
I didn't catch that, but
Oh
now that
my
you say it,
god.
I totally do.
Yeah, these are the
Yeah, I
best.
don't know that I
Oh
caught it at
man.
the moment.
I
But
paused it for Anna and I was like, they're totally making fun of Trump during the 2016 elections because he literally has a picture. The best I love my Latinos. The best taco salads in all of New York are made right here at
Trump.
Trump Tower. And he did it, and I just lost it. I was like,
oh,
"Oh my god!"
I didn't connect
So
at that point, but now I can't stop.
yeah, I loved it. I want to do a side by side on Twitter. So fans, if you connect with us on Twitter, we'll give away those links at the end of the show. Um, it's I want to put them. I'm going to put them side by side. The Trump taco salad tweet, and I'm going to put Anthony Starr with the taco salad. I'm going to put which tower has the best taco salads? So yeah, that was
should
fantastic.
we poll? Should we poll the people?
I want to.
Should we ask the people in the
Yeah, I
comments?
want to. Let's do it. You know what? Let's ask people in the YouTube comments, and then I'll put up a poll on Twitter. Because I don't think I'm spoiling anything. That episode was towards.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Does Trump Tower or Vaught Tower have the best taco salad? Or, just let us know
Yeah.
who does have the best taco salad.
Absolutely.
If it's not either of those places.
So taco salads aside, what do we think Kevin Durant's actually going to do? And Wes, do you think he is kind of crying out, doing his little temper tantrum for attention because the Warriors won that championship without
Yeah,
him?
I think he misses the Warriors. I think he misses being on a winning team. So
You think he misses having teammates that actually play? Because Kyrie Irving has turned into the best player I've never seen.
yeah.
I think so too.
I
You
I
hate
don't
Kevin Durant now because the
I don't hate
Trailblazers
Kevin
drafted
Durant.
Greg Oden. You
Okay.
just can't even
I
bring yourself
mean,
to
like,
talk.
yeah, sure, the Blazers could have had Kevin Durant, but they didn't. It's in the past. Whatever. I mean, that was like 12, 13 years ago. I hated him when he was on the Warriors because he was on the Warriors, and I hated him when he was on the Thunder because the Thunder shouldn't even be a fucking team. But yeah, but whatever. I don't care what he does now.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. I love touching on the subjects that you hate so much you
No,
don't even want to talk about, and then you're like, no, I don't even care. I don't even care. Clearly caring about everything because everything you mentioned has to do with Trailblazers not doing what you want because you could have had Katie and Damian Lillard in their primes at the same
coulda,
time,
shoulda,
and
woulda.
the Seattle
Coulda, shoulda,
Sonics
whatever.
moving to Oklahoma City. But we'll leave it alone. Sam Bowie. Starting with the curse of Sam Bowie. That should be the Portland Trailblazers. That should be their mantra or their curse, right? The Cubs got the curse of the goat. The Red Sox had their curse, and the curse of Sam Bowie is the
Don't
Portland
just
Trailblazers
drop
curse.
it.
So moving into the NFL, we haven't had a lot to talk about, but one thing I'm really excited about, and one thing that I think all sports are going to move into is the NFL is now going to look at Sunday Ticket on a streaming platform. And Roger Goodell came out in reports last week and said he says he sees for sure Sunday Ticket moving to a streaming platform in 2023. I think this is where we're going anyway. I think this is the future of live sports. What do you think? What are your
Well, I
thoughts
mean,
on that? Because
Sunday
I
Ticket
don't
has
I
been
think
on
this is inevitable,
DirecTV for
like
the longest
Thanos.
of time, and it's like, who has satellite anymore? It's like it's a relic of the past,
Yeah,
and it's like it's about time. I mean, I
yeah.
haven't been able to watch Sunday Ticket unless like I go to Buffalo Wild Wings at on Sundays. Like it's like why? It's like why can't I just watch
hmm
all the games?
So if they have their own streaming platform now, are they still going to be broadcasting on a major network?
So that's the cool thing is they will have a streaming platform this year, but it's only going to stream the games because remember, again, it's all about money. It's all about money. So they have these television contracts. So on the NFL streaming network, they're only going to show the games in the local area that you're in with the app. It's a total dick move. But um, it's because they're monetizing Sunday Ticket, and DirecTV owns Sunday Ticket through this year. So we're still not going to be able to stream all the games yet, Taylor, until
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah,
And
so
then
basically
yes,
the only
yes is
games
the
that I
answer.
would be
We will
allowed
be
to
able to
stream
stream
are the
all the
ones that
games.
are like playing locally in my area. So whatever's like the two like 10 a.m. games that they show, and then like the two like 1:30 p.m. and then the Sunday night football and Monday night football. So it's like
Okay, so you'd still have to
Yeah,
yeah.
so you'd still
absolutely.
have to watch any of the other major
Or I
games
would just have to go
on
to
the
like Red
major
Zone to
networks. Now
watch.
my
Like if I
question
wanted to
is
watch all the games, like I would just go onto Red Zone or whatever.
once they have their streaming platform fully up and like functional, they're not just, broadcasting the local stuff, you can get all the other games. Are they still going to broadcast on major
Oh,
like
oh
cable
yeah, I mean
networks?
cuz I think Fox and like NBC, CBS or whatever, like they're going to still show the games because that's like massive money right there for them. And that's literally like the only reason why people still buy cable is for sports for the most part, I feel like.
Well, that's why I was asking because a lot of the draw with still getting your cable package is the sports that you can watch with it. And for instance, if you pay for cable already, even if you're not like on a television, you can download like the NBC app, the Fox app, and you can watch live TV from wherever you are, whatever device you're on, even if you're on a different coast. Now, if they're not going to be broadcasting those games, there's really no draw for audiences who get cable for sports to then continue to buy cable.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Cable's getting cut anyway in a lot of places. But the companies that are leading the way for Sunday Ticket, which is basically what Sunday Ticket is you can choose all the games, Taylor. Like any game you want to watch, they're all available to you. If you have multi-screen, you could put on a different game on every screen, or you could have screen within a screen and have two games going at once. Um, so it's basically a pass to watch your game even if it's blacked out, right? And there are certain games that will be black, especially me as a Raider fan with Oakland. Oakland never sold out the stadium. They never sold out network when it was network, and I never got to watch their game without, like Wes said, going to a bar or something. And they're even though they're one of the most popular teams in the whole world, regionally, if you don't
Stupid.
sell out, they don't broadcast your game, right? And they were also big losers. They were also big losers for a long time. So they're not going to put a team that's a losing team on a major broadcast. So the only way to watch those games would be to stream it on a Sunday Ticket. But like Wes said, I don't have
Yeah.
satellite, especially when I was living in the dorms in the Air Force, right? There's no, I couldn't get Sunday Ticket. There was no way. So now with it going to a stream, it's kind of what I want. I've always wanted this. Like put it on a Netflix, put it on a Disney Plus, put it on an Amazon Prime. At least I'll take my money. Take it. I want to watch all the games, but because it's on
Yeah.
DirecTV, like Wes said,
I
it's
mean,
not feasible.
and it'll be
It's not
interesting to
something
see
I'm
what
going to
happens
do.
with DirecTV because I feel like that was probably like DirecTV's biggest selling point was we have Sunday Ticket, but now it's going to be like, who wants to get DirecTV now?
Yeah. It's gone. And that's not the only thing, by the way, that was keeping the NFL in the news. Zach Wilson. Apparently Zach Wilson's friend's mom has got it going on because I don't know. Actually, have you guys heard this
Little bit.
story
Why don't
yet?
you tell
Have you guys
us?
heard what's going on with Zach Wilson? So his college girlfriend and himself broke up, and in prime Gen Z form on social media, she put out all of Zach Wilson's business. And in Zach Wilson's religion, he is Mormon, by the way, went to BYU, second overall pick in last year's draft. He is not supposed to do certain things. So his ex-girlfriend, puts everything out there, including that he may have slept with one of his mom's best friends. And this led to a slew of memes, and they're fantastic. And really quick before my dumb man penis brain says the wrong thing. Taylor, what are some subjects that I can't touch on this?
For
Because I
banging his
kind of
friend's
want to give
mom?
him a
Why
high
not?
five.
Oh no.
Just-
Well, first
you know
off,
what, buddy?
so as far as like the doing things in his religion he's not supposed to, is it just
Yeah.
like a premarital sex thing? Is that
Yeah.
what he's not supposed to be doing?
I think actually in the codes of Mormonism, because like I'm nothing against Mormons, it's just like a religion I don't understand. I think it actually says in one of their 10 commandments, don't sleep with your mom's friends. But I'm not sure.
We'll
Don't
just need
quote
to
me on
look into
that.
the
I'm not
Book of
sure.
Mormon.
Um I mean, if the guy was an adult at the time, that's his prerogative. Who are we to say anything? As far as
And we
her,
mean no offense to Mormons. We don't, I promise. We just
All
don't
the
understand the
offense.
religion. That's all.
yeah, if he's an adult, I can't really say that I have anything against it personally. That's kind of his decision to make at that point. I think it's kind of shitty for him to not break up with his girlfriend before that if he's not, really feeling her and looking at other pieces of ass. He should maybe have said something to her. I think that's the real dick move. If he was not an adult, I probably have different feelings about.
Well, it was his college girlfriend, so yeah, I'm assuming he was an adult at the time.
And then I think the worst part is just like airing your dirty
Isn't that
laundry on
what all the
social
Gen
media
Zers
for
do now?
everybody. Well, I don't,
I feel old. I feel like we're dating
I
ourselves.
just, I don't.
So I think Taylor is giving us permission to throw high fives, but one of the best things that's come out of this is these. so so this has just been fantastic, obviously. And they just go on forever. Tom Brady on his way home realizing that Giselle is a friend of Zach Wilson's mom.
I mean, I this is gonna sound so weird of me to say. When you're a younger guy and you're able to like get an older woman, I understand why people think that's like an accomplishment because girls are usually like, guys are stupid, they're immature, like they don't know anything. But for you to be mature enough to kind of score a more mature woman, I think that's where everyone's like high fiving
They're high
at,
fiving you because you got one in the bag.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, would you be
So
high
hopefully
fiving
the
as
audience
much
was
if it
able to
was
see some
someone
of those.
would you be high fiving as much if it was someone
No,
his age? That's my point.
I
I
mean,
think there's more of like an
and it's a
acclaim to
friend's
it because
mom.
you're like, oh, you got this more mature woman and we're able to like convince her that you're not just
Well, and it's his
like a
friend's mom,
dopey child.
apparently. Yeah, it's like an extra, like you got the catch or whatever. It's like hauling in a big fish.
But why is it the catch? That's my point.
Checkmate. No, I think it's checkmate, right? Because it's the
Yeah,
guy that his girlfriend's dating's mom. So it's okay. So you're gonna sleep with my best friend. Well, I'm gonna sleep with my best
yeah.
friend's mom. Checkmate. Now what?
She doesn't.
I
It
don't
doesn't
know.
sound
Oh, I
like
I
mean,
don't
a
of
know.
course
Correct me if
spice
I'm
it's
wrong,
wedding
Taylor,
though.
but not to keep talking about TV shows this whole episode, but Euphoria told me that sex is the currency of the youth now. I don't know if that's true or what's going on there, but that's what Euphoria said. Zendaya made it very clear.
I think I'm too old to tell you if that's true or not.
No.
So yeah, I think it's jocular, Wes, as well. I mean, we've both been in locker rooms.
Yeah.
We know what locker rooms are like. I think it's also the the environment he's in for something like that.
Oh yeah, because
His teammates
even
are
though
gonna be
he was
like,
in a
"All
Mormon
right, I see you,
school, like
player.
like a
I
lot
see
of the
you."
guys there were probably like they had the notches on the belt or whatever. They were like they were counting their numbers. They would always compare it.
See, that's our mistake. We're forgetting because he's a Mormon. This scandal, this girl, being like, I'm going to go air all this dirty laundry on the internet, it was not meant for us because we would not care. Obviously, we're like, he's an adult and had sex. Yeah, that's kind of what adults do. This was more for
He's
his
rich and famous.
family. No, his family and his community and the people that are really in his inner circle who are going to see that and then kind of like either shun him or not be on board with it
Oh
because
yeah,
it's against what they believe.
Well, tell you about this. And Wes is saying, they're in the locker room. We know they're Mormon. If they find out, if the board of BYU finds out you're having premarital sex, they will kick you out of school. They did it to one of their best basketball players on their best chance to make a run in the NCAA tournament. They kicked him off the team before the NCAA tournament because they found out he
Oh,
was having
absolutely.
sex.
And that's what it was really for. It wasn't for the public, because ultimately, like, the public, I don't really think they would really care unless he was a minor or something to that avail. Everyone else is like,
Hmm.
yeah, he had sex. This was more so for the people, like, in his college, in his inner circle, in his family of like his friends, to be like, he's not the person that you thought he was. And also, Mormons are like really big on shunning people in their community who don't abide by their rules. So I think that
Yeah.
was a big part of it too. At least
Yeah.
that's what I've learned
I was
from
gonna say
I think
absolutely,
documentaries
in
and
the
such.
she
court
was
of a
trying
public.
to.
Go ahead, Wes.
Yeah, absolutely. Like she was trying to um, like basically get him like ostracize him from his like religion or whatever, like his peers. I mean, but like for public opinion sports fans, it
Yeah.
was hilarious.
Yeah, in the court of public opinion, Zach Wilson won this round, girlfriend. Like Zach Wilson came out,
Yeah,
uh,
I mean,
I guess pun intended, on top.
Zach Wilson's like a millionaire now. I don't
But
think he really cares about like what people from his church care about him now.
yeah, he wouldn't have cared if he came out on bottom or came out on top as long as he came. But we cannot end this week's episode without, I don't want to, without giving Kelsey Plum a major congratulations for winning the All-Star Game MVP for the WNBA. And I
Yeah,
can't leave out the Kraken.
Shane Wright
Wes,
fell
we
to
got to
them at
win.
fourth
We got
place.
a
Nice
big
little,
win.
or at the fourth spot in the draft. Nice little gift. He was a lot of people thought he was going to go first or second, but he fell to the Kraken. And that's not the only good news here in Seattle. Mariners are on a hot streak. They've won 8 in a row. Julio Rodriguez is on fire. A lot of people are calling him the next Ken Griffey. So I know, I know. A
The
lot of people
next
are
Ken
getting like
Griffey, you got to be
really
careful
hyped
with
up
that
to it. I'm
praise.
like, pump
He's
your brakes, bro.
Ken Griffey's the best player. Well, Alex Rodriguez, just because was he? I don't know. Would you
Ken,
call Alex Rodriguez or Ken Griffey Jr. the best player in Mariners
I'd
history,
say, yeah,
or Randy
yeah,
Johnson?
yeah. People love him here.
Ken. It's always going to be Ken. All right,
Yeah,
that's true. The backwards hat, the kid. Yeah, he made baseball fun in Seattle for
I
sure,
still have
and
a
you still see
jersey.
those jerseys, those Ken Griffey Jr. jerseys, walking around Seattle. If you walk around Seattle, yeah, he was fantastic. Um, And again, thank you for joining us here on the Sad Fan. Congratulations again to Kelsey Plum for that All-Star MVP. Congratulations to the Kraken for locking up Shane Wright. And if you guys want to talk with us more, we're available to you. Well, maybe not Wes yet. He says if you can find his Twitter, he will give you $100 on the spot. So when you find his Twitter, make sure you send him your Venmo so he can Venmo you that $100. But as for me, you could reach me at The Sad Fan or The Sad Fan Podcast on Twitter. You could also reach me at The Sad Fan on Instagram. And if you're following our YouTube channel, please comment. We would love to interact with you. We'd love to know where the best taco salad is, if it's at Vaught Tower or if it's at Trump Tower. So keep an eye when this video is posted and drop a comment. Let us know because I will put a poll there. I will say who has the best taco salads. Keep an eye on our Twitter as well, the Sad Fan Podcast Twitter, and I'll drop a poll there. Who has the best taco salads? That should be coming out later today. Taylor, where can they find you?
Find me on all the things at It's Taylor Stone. Also, thank you all of the actual sports fans who come to this podcast for sports for bearing with us through my needing an explanation of the differences between the NFL and college football. Thanks for coming to our TED Talk.
They loved every second of it. And Wes, do you want to add anything before we jump off here?
I think I'm good. Go Mariners. All right, see
All
ya.
right. Cheers, Zach. Everybody have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining us.